Alright, what's up guys? It's your boy Immortal Reaper. Today's 4th of July special. That you can watch the background. This is gonna be a straight rush entire match. But 4th of July special, I know this is gonna be posted tomorrow, but I expected to tell you guys a story about my 4th of July, and I'm gonna tell you also a ghost story because I play football, and when I went to football camp in Ashford, Arizona at Ashford High School, it was crazy. But first, about the July 4th story, because it gave my brother a new fear, and I just found it hilarious. So, 2 years ago, before YouTube ever happened to me, we went to California, where most of my family's at. We're just out here in the hot-ass Arizona desert. So, we went over there, and my grandpa chose to go move into an elderly home. And most people joke, oh, we're gonna put you in an elderly home, Dad. And he actually went by himself, and it kind of made us laugh. But for the 4th of July, he invited us to come because they have a bigger pool than my uncle does, because all he had was a jacuzzi. So we go there, and my family goes up in an elevator. My uncle comes with his wife. They come up together. Or my godparents, I should say, because they're my godparents. So they come up together, and my other uncle was late that day, and that's actually, thankfully, a good thing. So we all hang out with my grandpa, talk a bit before we decide to pack everything to go down to his pool area. Well, you're only supposed to have allowed 2 guests. Right now, I'm telling you that. You can only have 2 guests at an elderly home, apparently. So, we all go in the elevator. We all get in the elevator. So my family's 6. My uncle and his wife makes 8. And then my grandfather makes 9. So we're all in there. And everyone decides to leave their phone in the apartment. Except my grandfather, but we didn't. No. Yeah, except my grandfather, but he doesn't have minutes. So, of course, you should know where this goes. We're all in the elevator, right? So, we're only at the 2nd story, thankfully. But we get stuck between the 2nd and 1st floor. Now, of course, we try to pry the doors open, which we did, only for a short time, to see that there's no way my smallest sibling can slip out and go get someone. And we don't have our phones, and our grandpa doesn't know what to do, and my grandfather's claustrophobic, my godmother's claustrophobic, and we found out my brother's claustrophobic and has a fear of elevators as well now. Because as soon as we get stuck, my aunt goes ballistic. Now my grandfather can control his, but she goes ballistic. They're banging and screaming, banging and screaming. I'm just standing there like, someone will hear us eventually. I have no worries. If this thing happens to fall, we're on the 2nd story between the mid and 1st story. So worst things worst, maybe we hurt a leg or something, or someone lands on top of somebody. No one's gonna die today. And my brother, who now has the fear of elevators, every time we go, he's holding onto that stupid little bar in there. I see no purpose for it, unless you actually need it to support yourself after surgery. But anyways, he goes and grabs the bar and starts crying that, oh, we're gonna die, I'm not ready to die. And it's just, I'm laughing, because I know we're not gonna die. And everyone's like, why are you laughing? And I'm like, because my brother's freaking out, we're gonna die, and we're not even gonna get close to dying. But anyways, my grandpa pulls out his phone. He's like, well, let's see if my text messages work, because I didn't pay off my minutes and stuff. So he pulls it out, and thankfully he was able to send one text to my uncle that was late. So he texted my uncle, tell him to call the 911 fire department, and by the time to get there, my uncle actually arrived a little bit before the fire department, even though he called them before he even left his house. And his house to my grandfather's house was about almost a half-hour, 45-minute drive. So the fire department was actually really close. So the fact that it took them that long, I don't know. Maybe they were busy. I didn't care. I wasn't the one freaking out. So my aunt had to be taken out first because she was flipping out, and of course we're stuck between the 1st and 2nd. So they pulled her out first because she was hyperventilating, ready to pass out. My grandfather, my siblings go next, because they say children first, always, just in case the elevator was to collapse. So my sister goes out, my brother goes out, my other brother goes out, the one that's having my 2nd oldest brother was the one who was freaking out, and he's taken out right before I am. And as soon as he gets out, he's still crying. He sits down on the wall and keeps crying. I'm walking out laughing. Like, I look like a psycho person laughing that we just got stuck in an elevator. And then everyone gets out, and we get all our stuff, because our stuff was in there too. And of course there's a weight limit on elevators, but I did the math, because I like doing these things before I get into an elevator. Alright, sorry, we're back. Problem with the recording. So I do these things before I get into the elevator, right? So I do the math, and that elevator had a, which is weird for elderly people, it had a ton and a half. And ton and a half is 3,000 pounds. So that's how much it was for the weight limit. I knew for a fact that we as a whole didn't even reach a ton. So the fire department says, oh, maybe there was too much weight or there was a problem. Well, the manager comes and talks to us, and first thing he says was that we shouldn't have had that many people on the elevator because it's a safety hazard and that we could have overloaded it. Even though, in my smart mouth, is like, no, we weren't close to overloading it. I did the math. I know how much everyone weighs here because I'm that type of person, and we're not even close to the limit. And then he's like, well, second of all, after I opened my smart mouth, he's like, you guys actually need to leave because you're only allowed to have 2 guests. So 2 of you can stay and all the rest have to leave. Because we're also having noise complaints. And elderly, okay, I get that you get noise complaints. But why did you not get a noise complaint when we were stuck in the elevator for 30 minutes and my aunt's banging on it, going ballistic? But when we're in the pool and we knew to be quiet, because we're not a bunch of idiots that the elderly were going to complain. So, only time we basically spoke was that, oh, get your food or we need to put more buns on. No one was screaming in the pool or anything. So of course that tended to upset my father, my 2 uncles, and my grandpa didn't really care. He's all mellow because he lives there and you can't really get into argument with them or he'll get kicked out. But of course he would have somewhere to stay anyways. But and I get mad too. Because I'm like, so me and my dad, my uncle, we all say the exact same thing at the exact same time, which was, why didn't no one hear us for 30 minutes while we're trapped in an elevator? But as soon as we get outside for 10 minutes, you all of a sudden, every freaking old person, I'm not to be rude, but every person in that home that's elderly can now hear us when we're outside in the pool. It makes no sense whatsoever. So they had to bring security guards out to try and escort us out, which I found hilarious because all my uncles are pretty much, they've all done sports and activities, so football, they all done football, they've done wrestling, some were security guards, and I found it hilarious that they had to bring security guards, and the dude tries to grab one of them. I don't remember who he tried to grab, but I know he tried to grab one of my uncles, not my dad, because that would have been a stupid idea. And then my uncle gets him off of him, and he's like, sir, you don't need to resist, and then all of us say, well, you don't need to touch us, we're leaving just fine. So we almost got into a fight. Actually, we were about like 2 inches from punching them. But that was actually the best 4th of July experience for me because I saw my cousin cry like a little girl. And just a funny story. So now I know I'm sucking in this gameplay as well because I'm trying to tell you guys this. Now football camp last year. I can no longer play football actually. Oh, I can. All right. It's just not recommended that I play with the amount of concussions I have. But we went to camp last year to somewhere none of us have ever heard of, and we were supposed to go to we were supposed to go to Flagstaff originally, and the coach was like, okay, we're gonna have to go to Anchorage, Arizona, and we live in Arizona, so or I do. So now you guys know where I live. Thank you, stalkers. There you go. We went to Anchorage, and there's Anchorage High School. Well, when we get there, we noticed that there is nobody in sight. There's a bunch of houses, but almost no one has a car. And if they do, they're always on the freeway, and they're never home. And that the school, of course it's summertime, but even the school had a football team, and they decided not to show up for anything. And their coach was there talking to us. Their football team coach was there. He's like, yeah, no one decided to show up this week for our little camp, because we were supposed to do camp together. So we found that weird. And then the paranormal started happening. It's actually a ghost story. A lot of ghosts actually. So first night, me and the lineman. I'm a lineman, so you know I'm kind of a big dude. The lineman, we were all sleeping by the doors, and the doors at 1 a.m. in the morning just so happened to keep opening. Well, one of us actually sent one of the skill kids, because one of them, we're cool with some skill kids, so we're like, hey, go check out the door. And they were asleep. They're like, fine, whatever, dude. I don't know what you guys are scared of. You guys are big dudes. I don't see why you guys are scared. And he go checks it out while the door is open. Well, the next thing that happens, it slams immediately in his face before he can even go check if anyone's outside. So we kind of just stood up the rest of the night, and that sucked because then we had to run in the morning because football camp was amazing. So that happened the night. So the next day, we decided to search what if anything's happened in the school. So we found out that their most recent basketball coach had just passed away because he hit he went for a layup, and before he hit the ground, he was actually dead. So we're like, well, and people had reported in the comments and stuff, well, this guy, there's been sightings since then of the doors opening and closing by themselves. And another thing that freaked us out about this area, it was empty. There was, like I said, there was no one around. We went for team bonding out 2 days later. The same thing kept happening every night. So it's the same thing every night with the doors. So we gave up and we tried to sleep. But there was actually a couple people walking by the school, and we're like, oh, that's cool. But it's nighttime. We were out there for team bonding. There's a light post we were standing, and we could see them. And then they were standing under one, and we saw them. As soon as they turned their heads towards us, they dipped back in the direction they came and run into their houses. Also, there was a man watching us from his house until we all looked in his window. Well, after that, he's gone. But the next thing from that area was a tall, white, shadowy figure that was like at least 8 feet. And there's a fence because the football fields decline into the area, and the school's higher, so there's a fence taller. And the guy clears the fence, and the fence is like 7 feet. And he jumps into the baseball field, which is even deeper than where the football field was. So he dropped 12 feet, didn't hurt himself. He starts sprinting across, and we're like, well, we can't be playing a prank because we're all dead tired, and everyone else is sleeping inside. And then he runs into the freeway and gets hit, but he evaporates, and that car that hit him doesn't freak out because your lights are white, and it felt nothing. There was no sound of it being hit, no sounds of brakes skirting because they felt like they hit something. After that, this black figure pops up in our bus for the ride home, and the other bus that we took was for the freshmen that we had. And it kept popping up everywhere, dude. We were staring at it, but we don't have our phones because our coach said you guys don't need to bring phones, so no one was able to record it. You guys are going to have to believe me. And the lady said all these stories are true, so hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to like and subscribe.